Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of H.R. 2795, the Enhancing Multi-Class Share Disclosures Act. I would like to thank my colleague from the other side of the aisle, Congressman Meeks, for his work on this thoughtful piece of bipartisan legislation that improves the information shareholders receive about voting power in the companies in which they invest. Since the late 1800s, U.S. companies have utilized multi-class share structures. The original intent behind these structures was to allow companies, particularly family-run enterprises, to maintain voting control without having to own the majority of equity in their company. There have been several efforts to limit the availability of multi-class share structures in the past. For example, starting in 1926 and ending in 1985, some national securities exchanges restricted the number of multi-class shares that were allowed to list on those exchanges. In response to the increasing competitiveness of national securities exchanges in the 1980s, the exchanges eased those restrictions on multi-class share structures. While the SEC Investor Advisory Committee has called for more mandatory disclosures from companies with multi-class shares, the SEC does not currently require companies to disclose the gap between the equity an individual holds in the company and the number of voting shares they control, although many companies already disclose those for their shareholders voluntarily. By requiring disclosures regarding the voting power, particularly regarding officers and directors and those who have more than 5% voting power, H.R. 2795 will ensure that shareholders receive more uniform information in proxy materials. Mr. Speaker, rather than prohibiting multi-class share structures altogether, H.R. 2795 represents a thoughtful and balanced approach to enhance transparency without eliminating class structures that encourage founders that may not otherwise go public to do so. For these reasons, I support H.R. 2795, and I urge my colleagues to support this bill. Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.